We've got $50, so let's go find our investments. Starting off here with the Capsule Market, if we want to focus in on Antwerp specifically, I've honestly been a little bit more disappointed than anything else. If we want to look at the graphs right here, obviously we had that big drop down when we saw the Copenhagen stickers come out and release, but if we want to look at Stockholm as well, we really haven't seen a massive recovery like I was hoping to see. A lot of these stickers weren't truly impacted that much, and yet we're still seeing a lot of them struggle to get back to that price points they were at originally. Obviously, we saw the massive amount of liquidity inside of this area, and Paris as well. If we want to look at Paris, it's still struggling a significant amount more than I personally would have wanted to see, but Paris is a little bit of a different situation as well. Obviously, when we're talking about the Paris capsules, there's a massive amount of them out there. We knew the demand is definitely strong in that area, but we also need to take into consideration the fact that Paris was the most supplied item in the entire history of this game, and therefore the fact that it's not going to instantly recover is not too unexpected. Overall, it's just a little bit more disappointing for me as an investor, because I thought because Copenhagen is not necessarily the most competitive inside of this area for investing opportunity, Paris would potentially benefit. Doesn't seem like that's fully the case. SkinSwap is today's sponsor, and they're also sponsoring you with a free bonus for signing up with the first link in the description. They're the premier place for CSGO and Rust skins, with a massive trading site and a top-of-the-line marketplace, offering you the most competitive rates out there and a massive 40% bonus when you're using that link in the description. Combine that with their top-of-the-line selling feature with many payout options, and their trading feature legitimately taking you just about a minute, and there's no reason not to sign up with that first link in the description. And finally, the Copenhagen Major has officially concluded, and obviously you've seen that Nodus Vincier pulled out the win. Now this is very interesting for a couple different reasons. Obviously, if you're talking about a game perspective, but from an investing perspective, it's going to be very interesting in the fact that we're probably going to see this Champions capsule release if it is not already, and therefore we're going to be starting that countdown of potentially when we're going to see that sale. Now, when we're talking about Copenhagen specifically, there is a lot of investment opportunity for some people and not a lot for others. It's really going to depend on how much supply versus the demand that comes into it, which we don't really have too much for the data as of that. So far, checking out what we can see from the market graphs, there's not really anything too crazy going on. It's really just what we see consistently after every major, where we see a very big hype for the team that went ahead and won, and overall just a slow market decrease for the rest of the stickers, the rest of the market, because obviously people know there is a sale on the horizon, and therefore they're not going to be making any strong investments yet. No, I'd highly encourage you to do the same. Just hold off. If you're really looking to make an investment into Copenhagen, there will be a time. The time is not now. Now, talking about my favorite thing, the case market. Right now, the case market is very interesting because we want to look at the unboxing numbers. We saw 38 million cases unboxed in the past 30 days, which is absolutely insane. Now, if we want to break this down on a bigger level, unfortunately, a lot of these cases are the active duty cases that are being unboxed. Traditionally, if we want to look at the graph right here, we're looking at potentially about 40% of the cases being unboxed that are rare cases. Here, completely different. Now we're looking at potentially 25 to 30%, just because if we want to look at these active duty cases, Revolution and Dreams and Nightmares made up over 12 million cases unboxed, just those two. If we want to throw in the rest of them, we're looking at potentially 25 million cases unboxed. It's absolutely insane, the numbers we're seeing for cases overall unboxed, and the good news does translate over to the rare cases as well. Obviously, if people are unboxing those cases, more people are going to be unboxing these rare cases, and when the rare case price continues to go up, or theoretically at least, because if we want to look at the prices, they really haven't moved too much in the past month, but I still think there's so much opportunity inside of this area. If we want to look at a lot of these cases in the past 6 months, we really haven't seen any trajectory movement for a lot of them. Most of them are sitting, relatively speaking, flat, and that's very good if we're talking about the fact that the supply on these is continually decreasing. All of these rare cases that we talk about as an investment opportunity are decreasing in supply. The demand for them is staying the same or potentially even growing, and there's so much opportunity for these cases to absolutely explode as long as they get a little bit of traction behind them. And when we're talking about the current market right now, there is not going to be anything potentially for a fair bit of time, which means a perfect opportunity for these cases to put themselves in a very strong trajectory moving forward, and I'm extremely excited for that. Now, talking about our upcoming events, we got a couple big ones on the horizon. If we want to talk about the Copenhagen Major, obviously that is concluded, but we still have the sale to come along. If you want to look at this right here, usually the sale is sticking around for a very significant amount of time. I hope it's not the case inside of CS2, but it's very possible that it could be. Otherwise, we got a couple other things. We got a potential operation. If we want to look at the time we've seen an operation till now, it is the longest time in a significant amount of time. I mean, we have looked everywhere for this operation. We cannot find it. There's so many things that are suggesting an operation is on the way, and therefore it would definitely be a very big help to the market long term if we go ahead and see an operation pop in here. Short term is definitely going to decrease prices, but long term would be absolutely insane. Otherwise, we've also got the potential of a brand new case. Obviously, it's not something that I think is going to be the most likely outcome right now, but there's definitely a possibility. We haven't seen a new case in about 2 months now. Plus, we've also got the possibility of just a random update releasing. If we want to look at the Call to Arms update, which released 2 months ago at this point, it just came out of absolutely nowhere. And when we want to look at the possibility that we've got Danger Zone on the horizon, a lot of things are pointing that Danger Zone is being reworked for CS2. I think it's very possible that we could come in with another update like that, releasing Danger Zone or another big thing for the game, because the game is slightly stale in the current moment and more things are going to be added. Now, if we want to talk about filler skins, we are approaching the 1-year low for a significant amount of these filler skins, and therefore it creates a big opportunity of people thinking about potentially buying into these. And I will say, be very careful, because a lot of people are looking at the past history of filler skins and they don't realize what has changed. If we want to look at it, the new drop system creates so many more filler skins than previously. Therefore, when we're seeing extremely low demand like we are right now, it creates the possibility that prices could continually fall further. If we want to look at them, they've been relatively stagnant for the past month or so just because there is such little demand inside of this area. I still think that filler skins long term are something that if you buy at a cheap enough price point, you are going to make money, but it's something I will definitely say you need to be a little bit more careful of. Don't just trust the past trends we've seen inside of this area. Finally, going along with the Copenhagen major, I think it's very likely we're going to see a map removal after this major. If we want to talk about it, things are just getting a little bit overall stale, and it's a very easy way for Valve to go ahead and incorporate some of these new maps we've been looking at, whether it's Cache, Tuscan, or anything else, and therefore that's going to happen after the major has concluded. Therefore, if you have souvenir tokens, I would definitely suggest holding on to them because, let's be honest, Copenhagen is going to remain in this game for a significant amount of time, and therefore there is no incentive to go ahead and spend your tokens just yet. Now, I will say it's definitely going to depend on which collection gets removed. If we talk about Overpass, Inferno, or one of these other ones that don't even have a covert skin inside of it, it's probably not going to end up very impressive just because these are so plentiful out there. They're so cheap already. But if it happens to be one that has a covert skin, has got a relatively decent amount of demand behind it, it could be an okay pickup, especially considering most souvenir packages don't end up being good investments anyways. It could be an area for you to get a little bit of an edge over the competition. Now, the first investment I'm going to be making is into the Antwerp Challenger sticker capsule. The truth about this is I don't find this capsule particularly impressive in any single way, but the fact that it's at 42 cents right now, and we know this is an established capsule, I don't really like the stickers inside of it specifically, but it's got Imperial, it's got G2, it's got a couple other high-named teams. I honestly don't think this capsule can really get much cheaper in my honest opinion because of its Antwerp, because of everything around it, and therefore I think it's not a terrible pickup to make in the current moment. Second investment I'm making is into the revolver case. Honestly, the revolver case is such a strong case when we talk about cases that are rare and have an actual decent amount of demand. The revolver case supply is relatively low for what we expect it to be, and therefore it creates the perfect opportunity of a case that definitely is going to be on the safer side, but still should generate a decent amount of profit. The revolver case is always one of the first to recover. If we want to look at the 1 year trajectory, honestly, it is a very good looking case overall, and honestly, I don't think there's really much negative things to say about the revolver case other than the R8 revolver inside of it, which is a very minute detail, and therefore it finds itself onto this list of one of our investments. Third up is going to be the Paris Challenger sticker capsule. Now, this one is going to be for a very similar reason to the Antwerp. If we want to look at the capsule and the teams inside of it, it's not the most impressive. Honestly, I do like this capsule the most out of all the Paris capsules. I think it's got a very strong, even split between all the teams. If we want to look at the demand, there's definitely a decent amount of applications for these sticker capsules. The biggest thing is going to be the lowest supply that this capsule has out of the big three, and the fact that it's going to come in at a 20-cent price point. Honestly, I think it's very hard to pass this up in the current market with 20 cents. Obviously, we know there's a lot of competitors out there, but I still think it's in a decent position. And lastly, we're going to be picking up some clutch cases. Now, the clutch case is not the most impressive case out there when it comes to supply. Obviously, it's got a massive supply behind it, but the truth is it's dwindling rather quickly. The demand on this case is absolutely insane, and when we talk about rare cases, it's the second cheapest one, with the snakebite being much cheaper, but also a much more heavily supplied case. I think the clutch case is starting its developmental phase. I think it's in a very prime position right now to have the opportunity to take off if we see a hype inside of the case area, and therefore that's why I'm making my investment into it. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great rest of your day.